Hello, everybody, and welcome. It's Wednesday, and it's Benivo Bites, the world's first mobility tech show. And what a show we've got for you today. We've got so much news. Our focus is going to be on the United States. So we're focusing in on that, and we've got some really exciting news. And I've got a whole array of guests who are going to be joining me during the course of the next hour. But I think you all know how it works. If you're out there, let us know who you are, where you are, join the conversation, make comments. We want to make this as exciting and as interactive as possible. It is a really unique format that we have, and we really want you to get involved and let us know. I said today we're going to be focusing in on the USA. There's so much going on. We've got a huge immigration update on the USA. We've got some really exciting Benivo announcements regarding what we're doing in the USA. We've got a benchmarking report on domestic relocation in the USA that we're going to be releasing. And of course, it's a tech show. We've got a tech platform to show you all about everything that's going on. How to manage relocations within the USA. So a huge amount to talk about, which is just so exciting. But in fact, let me also tell you about what we've got coming up in future weeks, because I always try and do that. Next week, of course, the View from the Top is back, and keeping in with our USA theme, next week we're going bi-coastal. I'm delighted to say that we've got two guests on The View from the Top next week. We've got Yuki Watanabe from The Gap and Andrew Walker from EY. And that's going to be a real compare and contrast. We're going to be talking about the difference between East Coast culture and West Coast culture, and indeed the similarities. We're going to be talking about the differences between financial services and fashion or retail. And we're going to be talking about the differences between large programs, mega programs, and medium-sized programs between EY and The Gap. So fascinating session. I'm delighted we've got two such senior and really well-known guests on the show next week. And the following week after that, Benivo Bites is going to be back. And in that case, we're doing a case study, and the case study is on buyer. And we're going to be talking about how the Benivo platform can help emerging talent, and it can support it, and what the power of automation is. So we really do have a lot going on. But the 31st of March, of course, is a big day for us, because actually that's the day that nominations for the top 100 service providers closes. And I think you know about that, but let me just remind everybody about the top 100 service providers. So yes, it is the top 100 service providers. And have you voted yet? That's the question. Please do let us know. I know there's loads of you out there in the audience now. Some of you have said, if you've nominated, why not share it? Tell us you've nominated, and certainly post on LinkedIn if you've nominated. And if you've been nominated, a lot of people who've been nominated will have received emails from us telling you you've been nominated. Tell the world about it. Post something on Nitsan, what did I just say? Post something on LinkedIn, maybe tag me, tag Nitsan, to say that you've been nominated. We have had 1,000 nominations already. It's so exciting, and we're going to be releasing that in a while time, but we've still got 2 more weeks for those nominations to come in. I see a couple of comments here about St. Patrick's Day, and I'd like to say a big happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you. But you know me, I always like to have a fun fact, and we've got a fun fact. Here we go. And here's a fun fact about St. Patrick. St. Patrick, everybody knows, is the patron saint of Ireland. But where was he born? Okay, well, today's fun fact is St. Patrick was born in Scotland. So in fact, I think that maybe St. Patrick should actually also be the patron saint of global mobility, because he must have been one of the earliest transferees that we know of. As I understand it, he was abducted by raiders and taken from Scotland to Ireland. But anyway, there you go. St. Patrick was an expat. You heard it first here on Benivo Bites. So moving on, I'm hoping you'd find that interesting about St. Patrick. We've talked about the top 100 service providers. What I also want to do is tell you that this is our first really exciting bit of news today, is that we're opening a new office in Palo Alto, and I'm going to be bringing on in a moment our new head of our Palo Alto office, Matt Cheek, as well as our CEO, Nitsan Udan, to tell us all about what Benivo is doing in the US. And also, we've got some exciting news to mention about the Benivo Strategy Council and the people that we've got joining us. And we've got some big name news to share with you as well regarding the Strategy Council. So an awful lot going on the show today. I think everybody knows, or hopefully everybody knows what Benivo does, but I always just try and put this in there. This is the only advertorial bit, is to say what we're trying to do is to produce an Amazon-style user experience with a fintech solution and an end-to-end mobility management system. And each week we try and focus in on a different bit about that, on the Amazon-style user experience where we crowdsource information, the fintech solution, and of course the end-to-end mobility management system. And we're going to be touching on some of those again today. But what I want to do now, of course, is we always want to have our immigration update. And so let's get the show rolling, and let's bring on the one and only Julia Onslow-Cole to talk about immigration in today's edition of Benivo Bites. Julia, how are you doing?
Fine, thanks, Brian. Yeah, really well.
In the last few weeks when I've seen you, you've been in Dubai, but you've moved on, I gather. Where in the world are you today?
I'm actually in the Maldives.
Okay, I'm very, very, very jealous.
Yeah, it's very nice here, but my dedication to Benivo is such that I'm here.
And what time is it?
Nearly 10 o'clock.
Okay, so it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm taking your sober.
Yes, completely.
Just checking. You're in a holiday resort on an island in the Maldives. You've got your windows closed so we can't see the sea view behind you. Well, I'm guessing it's dark.
It's pitch black, yeah.
Okay, so we must go for it. Okay, and I'm guessing you're not talking about immigration into the Maldives at the moment, but you're focusing on
No. I mean, it's so exciting to hear what Benivo's doing in the US, and there's so much going on. So I thought to complement what's going to follow, I would just say a few words about what's happening in the US. And I wanted to give a big thank you to Bo Cooper, who's our partner head of government strategies based in Washington, for spending some time with me and going over some of the key issues. The advent of the Biden administration has entirely reversed the approach to immigration into the US. And as we know from all the different discussions we've had, President Trump tried to stop legal immigration, including business immigration. And President Biden believes it's really good for the US economy, good for culture and otherwise. And he and his administration have a very active agenda. And this was previewed during the campaign. But you'll remember that we kept saying we didn't think a lot would happen immediately, but we were so wrong. And in fact, President Biden signed the first executive order on immigration in his very first evening in office. And there's been a stream of announcements of changes to immigration policy. But within this, there's a heavy, heavy focus on their priorities, which lie outside of business immigration. And just on Monday, a couple of days ago, there was a lot of discussion about the southern border challenges, where President Biden is trying very hard to relax some of the extreme policies that President Trump was enforcing. But this is drawing arrivals that are quite difficult to manage. So I think with respect to business immigration, we've got to remember three important points. First, it's not so high up the priority as other areas of immigration. Secondly, this Biden administration doesn't have such a detailed expertise on business immigration. And three, they will not automatically give an approach to complete openness of business immigration, because they're closely aligned to organized labor, who are negative to wary about highly skilled labor, highly skilled immigration. And I think it's quite an interesting point, because on the one hand, the current administration is saying it is in the economic interests of the US to regularize 11 million illegal migrants. But on the other hand, you know, it's risky to the US economy to bring in all high skilled labor. So I think there's, immigrants, high skilled immigration. So I think there is this slight tension. But the really good thing is that President Biden has shown that he will listen, his team will listen to concerns and try and balance out these concerns with US workers and admitting foreign professional workers. So with respect to legislation, as we all know, there is the US Citizenship Act, this new Biden bill, and its focus is really on asylum, border issues, enforcement priorities, legislation of the dreamers, and others without status. There are some business immigration points in there, but they're focused on the green card process rather than on the temporary categories like H's and L's. And most analysts do not think that this bill will progress, but there will be little pieces of it that will be moved bit by bit. So we're expecting, for a start, that there will be a Dreamers Act. This is for those children brought to the US illegally many years ago. And there will also be something that's brought as a piece for temporary protected workers and farm workers.
We're seeing a major, major turnaround from the last 4 years.
Absolutely, absolutely. But it's still highly uncertain because of the evenly divided makeup of Congress and the divisions within the parties. So it's really critical that we sort of watch how these pieces move in, and we will keep updating everyone on View from the Top and Benivo Bites. So it's much more likely that we're going to get immigration policies brought through the executive branch, through executive orders, like we saw with President Trump, like we saw with Obama before. And there aren't any specific regulatory proposals for business, but President Biden will have no choice but to make some decisions that Trump has left him with, which will take effect unless he does something. So there's three that are really important. That's the first one is the rules that President Trump left him that will require H-1Bs to be given to those with the highest wages. Now, our view at Fragaman is that it's inconsistent with statute and it could be successfully challenged in the courts, but that will be debated. The second is whether there should be a higher wage requirement for H-1Bs. And the Fragaman view is that this administration will enforce some higher wage requirement. And the third is that Trump tried to establish a regulation for employer-employee relationships. And we think that the Biden administration will take this forward and introduce some regulatory tests for employer-employee employer relationships. And this is really, really important for those vendor companies that post H-1B workers on sites. So we don't expect there will be other restrictions on H-1B or non-immigrant visas. But the final message is that this administration is really open to stakeholder engagement. And it's really, really important that employers think about their own situation on business immigration and make sure their voices are heard. Thanks, Brian.
Okay, well, that's an amazing roundup in fact, a short period of time. So really, really appreciate that. And yeah, so thanks. And I just want to remind everybody once again that nominations are open for the top 100. And please do nominate. Julia, if you don't make the list, I will be amazed.
We'll have to pretend I do. We'll have to pretend.
Absolutely. But it is what it is. As Vinny has said, vote, vote, vote. Please get out there and vote for. You can vote for anybody you like, anywhere in the world, any service provider, tax, immigration, relo, housing, academia, I don't know, partner support, you name it, technology, any area of mobility that you want, you can vote for people. So let's get out there and really spread the word. And by the way, everyone's commenting that you've worn green for St. Patrick's Day. So
yes.
Kudos to you
for Pat Jurgens. A shout out to Pat Jurgens.
Exactly. Yeah. It's Pat's birthday today, so I'm guessing that's why he was named Patrick. But
yes.
I'm asking about that on the show next week.
Well, yeah.
Good to see you, Julia. Enjoy the rest of your time in the Maldives, and we will see you next week. And now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to Benivo in the USA. We're going to be talking about our new Palo Alto office. We're going to be talking about the benchmarking report, and we're going to be showing some fascinating new technology for lump sums, which of course many are for the domestic relocation market. But so we'll say goodbye to you for the moment and see you at the end of the show, Julia.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, we're going to be talking in a moment about the benchmarking report and domestic relocation in the US. But before we do, I'm really honored that we've got on the show the CEO of Benivo, Nitsan Udan, and our CCO, Matt Cheek, who is himself relocating to, or going back home to the Bay Area very shortly. So let's just start off talking about that. And we're seeing, lots of people have commented saying congratulations. But Nitsan, maybe just tell us a little bit about why we're setting up a Palo Alto office, and then Matt, maybe you could just tell us a bit about the office and what we're looking to do.
Yeah, I think. Hi everyone, and I think for us it's a very natural step following the footprint of where our clients are and where we've seen a lot of the moves that we are supporting and a lot of the growth that we've experienced over the last couple of years, and it's an exciting move, right? So for us, a very special day, and very happy to announce that, and very glad to have Matt leading that office.
I mean, a technology company sets up an operation in Palo Alto. I mean, I don't know how we were clever enough to work that one out. I mean, it's just, it's just extraordinary. the brains that have gone into this. So it's great. So anyway, but Matt, you're originally from Northern California, aren't you?
Indeed, yeah. So this is a super exciting opportunity for me personally. So I am from Napa, from the North Bay. For everyone who's familiar with the area, I have spent close to the last 10 years of my career working with Nitsan and the team, growing Benivo, based out of London. And as Nitsan said, as we have grown, so has our client footprint grown west. And so, I mean, we started out of London with a very famous Silicon Valley company called Google, and have expanded substantially with them. But also now count among our clients, big U.S. Fortune 500 companies: Mondelez, Bayer, Phillips 66, Walmart, Bloomberg, CGI, Regeneron, and more. And so makes sense for us to be following where our clients are going. And so I have the great pleasure of leading an assignment back to California on behalf of Benivo, and establishing our offices there to begin. So it's been a bit of it's been in the planning for a bit, and obviously a funny time period to do this planning, but looking like things are bending in the positive and right direction, and we're excited for this to be a fun and exciting year all around for the effort.
And that's great. And we've got Wes on the show a bit later when we're talking about some of the benchmarking report. And of course, he must be based pretty much down the road from you, because he's in Palo Alto too.
Correct. That is correct. So yes, very, very excited to be Wes and building more strategy council members based in the area and in the US.
Well, in fact, that very neatly brings me on to the next subject I wanted to raise, which is the Benivo Strategy Council, because Nitsan, I gather that we've got more people joining and we've got some really big names joining the Strategy Council. So perhaps, Nitsan, you could just remind people who's a member of the Strategy Council and who's joining us. And I mean, let's see lots of applause for this, if I can ask the audience, because we've got some really exciting names on and indeed joining our Strategy Council. So Nitsan, tell us all about it.
Yeah, so the Strategy Council, we've set it up about almost a year ago, and it's a group of people with a lot of experience and knowledge in the industry that help us as a technology company make sure that we are defining the company strategy, the feature we develop, the products we build, all towards adding more value for mobility leaders. So some of the members, and we are now really, it's a completely global group from India, Singapore, and of course Europe and the US. We have you, Brian. I hope you know that. Other than that, we have Wes Okamura, who will be on the show today, and Michelle Derrikin, who will be on the show today. We have Alf Carleister, who is based in Singapore, and some of the members who we are now proud to announce who joined. So 2 new members. One of them is Eric Halverson, who is from the Bay Area.
Huge. Eric, for those, I mean, I'm sure most people out there know Eric, but Eric is a legend of global mobility. And to have him on board, I'm super excited that we've got someone with Eric's reputation join us. That's just fantastic news.
Yes, and so excited about him and the expertise he's going to bring to us. And the other person who joined us is Meredith Morris, who is based in Houston and bringing a lot of experience within RMCs. Not us becoming an RMCs, but making sure that in the products we build, we also think about how that adds value to RMCs.
Okay, and just to say, we are still looking for other Strategy Council members. So if you think you know of anybody who fits that sort of description, then do reach out to any of us.
Also add that we are also recruiting on our business development team. So if anyone has referrals, then please send them our way.
Excellent. Okay, so that's talked a lot about Benivo in the USA, but what I want to do now, let's bring the rest of the gang on. So I'm going to bring Michelle into the screen, and where is he? Bring Wes as well. So we got more of the gang here. And at this point, I'm going to say goodbye to Nitsan and Matt and say hi to Wes and Michelle. And maybe we can start talking about this exciting new report that we've launched. So I'll just say we'll see you at the end of the show. But I'm just going to remove Nitsan. There he's gone, and I'm going to remove Matt from the screen. So there we are. We're back to the back to the three. Oh, I see. And Eric is with us on in LinkedIn. I'm humbled and honored to be invited to be a part of this group. Eric, we are humbled and honored to have you with us, and we will have you live on the show in a couple of weeks. I know, but that's just great news. But Michelle, let's just start off with you. I know you've been leading this study on domestic relocations in the USA. Can you just tell us a little bit about the study, first of all, how you went about it and who was involved and a bit of background to it?
Sure, absolutely. So I conducted one-on-one interviews with mobility and HR leaders across 26 different companies. It spans industries from manufacturing to pharma to hospitality and everything in between. So we have a wide sample of different companies who had participated. It happened over the course of, I'd say, about 3 months. So these were, again, one-on-one discussions, very detailed about their programs and policies.
So this was done during the beginning of 2021?
I actually started it in December of 2020, right in the middle of before we all went on holiday break. Yep, and just wrapped it up about 2 weeks ago. Okay,
so this is really hot off the press. And for people who might want to read the benchmarking report, and I'm sure people do, how can they get hold of it?
Yes, they can download it right from the Benivo homepage, and hopefully there is a link. Yep, there in the comment section where you can download the report. So it is just some easy, light reading. So please go ahead and download it.
Yeah, and here's the link here. Let's just put it up there. Oops, that's the wrong link. That's the nominations link. That's the one. Okay, so there it is. But in fact, the easiest way is just go on to benivo.com, and on the very top of the page, at the very top of the page, there's a link, and you just go and download it. So tell us about the report then. I mean, tell us maybe a little bit about some of the findings.
Yeah. So the report, again, it was geared towards U.S. domestic relocation, and then we kind of touched upon the hot topic around working from anywhere. But overall, and this probably won't come as a surprise, overall relocation, U.S. domestic relocation volumes were down.
No, wait. I mean, that is amazing news. Are you telling me we've done a report and
yes,
it says that relocations went down in 19?
Yes. Amazing, right?
This is going up on screen as the.
I spent countless hours. Mm-hmm.
This is the note. Excuse my language. This is the note, Sherlock. Okay, so you heard it first here, live here.
Volumes are down.
Volumes went down in 2020.
Correct.
Hey, who knew? Okay, Wes, was that news for you? Had you realised that?
Shocking, yes.
Just extraordinary.
Or enlightening.
Yeah. Anyway, but I know there's actually, I'm teasing you. I know there's some amazing stuff that came out of this. So let's expand on this before I
Sure. So in general, on average, the volumes were down about 45% across the board. However, when you
actually, I'd have thought it would have gone down by more than that.
More.
35%.
If you isolate the pharma, it was only down by 55. It was down by 55% if you add in the pharma.
So obviously pharma.
They were moving.
Yeah.
Yep. But that's not to say that the mobility, and HR leaders weren't busy as ever. I think, despite the volumes being down, their work shifted to other places. They were, being asked to where are people? Dealing with the work from anywhere scenario, dealing with the immigration, tax reporting, tax changes, compensation adjustments, policy exceptions. So I think we've discussed this. It seems like mobility and HR people were busier than ever, despite.
So what we're saying here is that even though volumes went down, the workload went up, and that's the thing that we all know. But I suspect a lot of people out there in maybe the wider reward function or HR function and the line are probably thinking, what were these mobility people doing? Because nobody was moving, but actually everybody was busier than ever, because even though relocations were going down, the mess that they were dealing with was going up.
And I think, were being asked to do things that they had not been asked to do in the past. So the scope of a traditional mobility, manager shifted for sure. Okay.
And Wes, from your experience, what sort of workload did you see going up?
So very, very consistently. So surprisingly, with the volumes going down so dramatically, as you guys have been talking about, and I think in many portions of the population, it's a lot more than 45% decline. But I think some of that has been offset, as you said, by new populations, primarily the remote workers, and the proliferation of that throughout the entire workforce populations. So I think the whole role of mobility function has been sort of shifted to apply, rather than just to a niche portion of the population, to the vast majority of the populations. And therefore, I think the overall focus and strategic importance of mobility has really been enhanced as a result of the pandemic. And then another thing is that there's been a huge focus on cost, but also being able to scale up to handle this broader population base. So the need to have more automation, more technology has really been highlighted before the pandemic, but I think it's really been a major focus on companies really realizing that now is the time to really do things and transform our mobility function. So application of technology is a huge focus. 75% of the people in the survey said that there's an increased focus on expanding how technology can improve their role. And I think in a couple areas, one, certainly from an operational perspective, and most companies, 60% plus of the companies, are applying fairly robust technology from an operation and administrative perspective, but a much smaller percentage are actually using technology to apply it in a more strategic way to help be better advisors to the business. And it seems like this pandemic has really highlighted that important need for the mobility teams to be a broader advisor to the broader talent teams, to the broader business, to enable them to be more effective in how they're really carrying out this whole future work concept. And I think before the pandemic hit, there was a lot of, particularly among the leading companies, discussion around what's this new future work going to look like. Well, now the pandemic hit, and the future is now. It's happened, right? Mm-hmm. This whole workforce has transformed, and mobility is really playing a super key role there. And I think a critical piece around where technology plays a huge role is just accumulating the data from all the different sources, and then redefining this whole mobility space into this broader mobility ecosystem that touches a much more significant portion of the overall population. So having access to data and then doing different things with that data, both from a predictive analytics perspective and just basic reporting, has become, a much more highlighted important in terms of role that the mobility team needs to play.
Yeah,
absolutely. And so, Michelle, I mean, we touched on some big items there, but just sticking at the moment with work from anywhere, just tell me a bit about that. What were we finding in the report? Obviously everyone's been talking about work from anywhere, but what did the report actually show in terms, and I know this was aimed at US domestic relocations, but what was it telling us? Yeah.
So 60% of our respondents said their organizations were letting employees work from anywhere, 40% not. We went on to further discuss, okay, compensation, are you changing, updating their state that they live in, which will change their taxability? 80% of respondents said they are not changing compensation because their assumption is that this is not a permanent situation, that it was temporary. And it was split actually 50-50 of companies that were updating the state that the employee was residing in, which in turn, as I mentioned, would change their taxability. So, and I think the reason behind it is, it's work. Is there formal tracking going on? What approvals are being needed? Is it just an agreement with somebody's manager? Is it a bigger formal process, and approval within HR and updating, PeopleSoft or Workday or whatever system somebody has in place? So again, you talk about adding to workloads. This is the type of stuff that was also landing on mobility and HR managers' laps, whether it was truly mobility related or not. They were being involved.
Okay, and I know there's an issue regarding the question of how you set somebody's pay when they're working from anywhere. And what did companies say about whether they were going on a home or host location? That's probably not the right phrase, but.
Right. Well, again, 80% of companies were not changing compensation. But we went on actually to ask in the wider context of relocations, if companies are utilizing a cost of living allowance domestically. And that is a much smaller population. Only about 10% are using a cost of living allowance as part of their U.S. domestic relocation policy, meaning if somebody is moving from a low cost region to a higher cost region, just say, Texas to the Bay Area, whether or not, only 10% of companies were giving a cost of living differential. Most organizations are baking that type of differential into somebody's compensation directly.
Okay. And we also the report also looked at technology and what technology people were using. Yep.
So most companies are using technology in some form, but I think it was about only 27% of the companies actually said that they were using technology to improve the user experience. So there's a difference between using technology to kind of manage your program and track your people versus using technology to enhance that user experience for the employees. Further, 82%. I think this was important as we kind of get into the technology discussion. 82% of companies have lump sum, some form of lump sum in their policy. And then I think the question becomes, okay, where can companies help their employees in that lump sum space? So 82%, huge population of companies that are offering lump sum as.
Now, I know a lot of people, because we've touched on lump sum several times on the show in the past few months, and it's very controversial.
Yes.
A lot of people in the industry hate lump sum. And I've always said that Benivo is lump sum neutral. We don't hate it, we don't love it. We just have technology that people can use if they want lump sum. But lump sum, a lot of people hate lump sum for various reasons. But irrespective of whether people love it or hate it, the fact is that certainly when it comes to domestic relocations, and I think I'm right in saying especially for more junior domestic relocations, lump sum remains an extremely popular policy that companies have.
Very much so. I think you hit it on the head, especially those more junior roles, this generation that is, DIY, do it yourself, use technology to, help them navigate through. It is extremely popular. And I think companies are shifting that mindset where before where people wanted services, they wanted, their stuff to be packed. They wanted kind of that more hand-holding. There does seem to be a little bit of shift towards lump sum, give me the money, I'll do it myself.
Okay, what I'm going to do now is I want to bring Matt back onto the screen. So let me just get Matt to join us. And Matt, you're going to talk to us, I think, about the technology platform that we've developed. I mean, we are a tech show and we are a tech company, so I suppose we ought to talk about some of the tech solutions. So at this point, I'm going to say just to make the screen a bit cleaner, less crowded, I'm going to say goodbye for the moment to Michelle and Wes. We'll bring you back at the end of the show. But I'd like to speak to Matt and talk about some of the technology. So thank you. For anybody who wants to read that report, as I said, just go on to benivo.com. There's a green bar across the top, and there's a link there to download the report, and it's completely free of charge. So do download the report there. And say goodbye to Wes. Okay, Matt, it's just you and me, and of course the huge audience now. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the technology solution that we've developed for lump sum? And this could be lump sum domestic or international, but we've got a domestic flavor today. So tell us a bit about the reasons that we've developed this. Yeah.
Love to. So the Benivo general approach to lump sum is, we took it trying to solve what we saw as a problem on the market with people who choose this policy type for their program. So the problem that we see out there is that, generally speaking, if you look into it, the usage of the lump sum solutions that we have today is pretty low, and we think that the reason for that is that these are at the core and the backbone solutions that were really built for corporate purchasers of service, right? So it's built for corporate services. But what happens when you give someone a lump sum, whatever lump sum that might be, right? Small, medium, or large, in reality, they become a consumer in the way that they make decisions. But the solutions today don't tend to treat them as a consumer and helping them move along, making those types of choices like they would in their normal lives. So our solution tries to focus on serving 100% of movers with value add support in a way that is cost effective for employers, because half of the objective we understand for lump sum policies is to keep costs low and known. And we do some interesting things with that. So for one, it is a tech product branded as your employer on your phone, available 24/7, that gives you value-add advice with insights from your colleagues included. And so what we're able to do there is make it very easy for people to answer the question of, what did people like me at my company who did this relocation before, what types of choices did they make? What resources did they use? What things would they steer me to? And what things would they steer me against? So we have that built into the experience. I'll show you that a bit right now. And the final thing that we put in there is that it has spouse and partner support included. So we have inbuilt to the solution the ability for every employee who is invited to a Benivo for their employer account to invite their partner or spouse, and their partner or spouse gets their own account with their own content and their own support experience built for them as someone who is going with an employee who is relocating.
Okay, and as I think you sort of touched upon, it also gives a duty of care, doesn't it? So you're providing, unlike normal lump sum, when people are just left on their own, using a digital platform provides a baseline duty of care.
That's exactly right. So we're trying to eliminate the scenario whereby if you are someone who doesn't choose to purchase offered services, right now your support experience is nothing. You manage everything by yourself. And so we want to invert that model and say what you want to do with a good lump sum solution is to offer value add support, a foundation level duty of care to everybody, and facilitate those who want to purchase services going off and finding them and doing that themselves. So instead of helping just those who want to buy, you help everyone as a starting point.
Okay, so let's move into actually looking at the technology. And I think you've got a demo that you can show us, is that right?
Yep.
So let's put your screen up there. Okay, so tell us about the platform and how it all works.
Sounds good. All right. I just as we were all talking about it, I wanted to point out where to get the domestic relocation benchmark report that Michelle has worked on. So here's the top bar on our homepage. click on this link, that button, it will bring you to this page. Just fill out this form and you will get the report. So here is that's how to get it. There's also been some links put in the show pages today. So let's bring us into looking at our product and talk about how this can be used for U.S. domestic lump sum moves. All right. So I here am in the Stark Industries fictional company on a move into the Bay Area, like I am personally doing from within the United States. So I see here the platform branded as my company, and I've got a few main things on the homepage. I've already been invited. I've already activated my account. So here I have actions. This is what to do, when, and most importantly, how to do it. And we're going to show an action lineup for things I need to do moving domestically. I have the full set of destination mini courses, which covers housing in detail, from area orientation to how to manage my search process, avoid scams and frauds and temp accommodation, securing the new home, including contract review and negotiation, and a number of resources provided along the way. And on down for settling in, culture, things to do. I said I was moving with my family, so I have family support. And if I was interested in buying a home, home buying as well. Also with lump sum, very important is where to get the money itself. So let's start there, and we'll look at the basics. So we have two things on our platform to support lump sum programs. The first one, of course, is the relocation allowance. This is an example where the lump sum is $10,000, but this, of course, can be any defined amount. And as the employee, I simply have to follow the flow from when I am eligible to do it, which in this case for my move is the 18th of May, right here, and I punch in how I want to receive it. And Benivo supports bank transfer, digital wallets, and prepaid card. Prepaid card is very good for transacting things online, such as booking temp accommodation. And in terms of bank transfer, we promise to receive the funds within 0 to 1 working days. In most countries in the US, we do support same-day transfers. And so it's a great experience of just the money when I'm eligible to receive it and get an update as to when it's in my bank account a couple of hours later. Now, we also have another money feature that is something that you can choose to add on, which is called Pay Later. And so Pay Later in the lump sum delivery context would be additional cash flow to your relocation allowance. Pay Later is an advance, so this is money that me as the employee, I have to pay this back, but I can get extra cash now to pay for things that I need to pay for, like deposit, like upfront rent, like buying furniture, like shipping my belongings, whatever it might be. So in this case, Stark Industries has given me a limit of up to $3,000. There's no interest on that. There's no fees to me. And I can follow the same type of steps to say how much I want to take. And what I'm going to get that's different from the allowance is that this money I do have to repay. So I'm going to start repaying that in monthly installments after I am on salary. So I get paid first, and then I start my monthly installments. And that entire process is managed by Benivo. So Benivo sends the money outbound to the employee and recollects the installments. Nothing touches payroll. It's completely automated on the platform. I, as the employee, can manage my repayment schedule and my repayment methods up here. Okay, so that's everything on money. As we said, configurable how you would like to have it in terms of the right amounts. And if you want to include the Pay Later feature as an additional benefit. So let's take a look at actions and take a peek at how the platform is going to be guiding me in my process. So I've got my my kind of control center here for my move with a progress tracker starting at everything I need to do. And this is taking me through a number of different categories that we would configure, for that population and for that company. And let's look at a few things that are really key for domestic moves. So I'm going to California, so I should take a look at California renting laws. I should get guidance on updating my driver's license and my car insurance. And something that I probably didn't think about is that I also need to notify the IRS. So within the actions, the way that this works is that it's built for the phone. It's bite-sized content. You can just swipe through it quickly. And I get a little bit of guidance about what I need to do. So here it's telling me how I need to update the IRS. And I get some insights from colleagues who have done the same thing on how they did it. And I see the resounding majority has done it online. So that is absolutely what I should do as well. All right, so quick guidance on what I need to do, and then, bam, I can download the form here, and I will follow the steps to do that online. For another example, I might not have thought about changing my address with the Postal Service. So I get the guidance on why I need to do this, and what the two options are to do it. Again, everybody doing this online, so that's what I'm going to do as well. And I can follow the steps, and I see the terrible news that I need to pay $1.05. And then off to the U.S. Postal Service website to do it. And when done, I can share a tip of anything that might have missed or something to make it easier, submit, and I've ticked another action off my list of things to do.
So that's it's the same concept that we get in the international platform or for the traditional platform. It's the social insight. So everyone is learning from everybody else. We're using the wisdom of the crowd, even down to, in that case, the filing fee for the $1.05 fee. That all that information is being shared, and as you said, it's whatever it was, 89% do it online. So all that information is out there. So again, it's making people's lives easier. It's helping the duty of care because they're getting information. They're not being left on their own doing it. And it means that 100% of people being moved do get a base level of information, even if they're not getting the white glove service that might come from more senior people.
That's exactly right. And the same concept applied into housing. So I need to find a place to live in my new destination. So I'm into the destination module, housing in the area orientation. And I'm going to see here some expectation setting about rental prices. In red, I see actuals from employees like me who have moved before. In green, I see ranges that Benivo is pulling by API from the web. I get some information on commute times, norms, commute methods, what I can expect there, the types of properties that people are picking, and recommended neighborhoods in town. I can also see that on a map where I can see where I am going to be working, and I can click to see neighborhoods around my new work location and some of the price ranges and estimate commute time by different methods to that office. So this is just making it very easy to get my mind wrapped around the area where I'm going to be moving to, understand some prices, and different areas of town. So the next would be I'm getting into the process of actually searching for a home, and the platform is supporting you in that process. So I'm going to look first at
and this must be very real for you, Matt, because you're actually going to be doing this yourself, or you are doing this yourself at the moment.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I followed my personal life to London and have spent the last decade working there, and now I get to follow my professional life back to the Bay Area, which is going to be fun. But after 10 years, a lot of things change. So basically, I'm moving fresh.
And is your wife going to be using the partner platform too?
She will definitely get an invitation. That is exactly right. I will use this action right here to invite her to her own account on Benivo for Benivo, where she is going to have a resource to look at all of her questions, in addition, of course, to asking me. Okay,
and so you got that lump sum relocation there, and she, of course, is, as I understand it, well, you're living in Barcelona, aren't you? So we've got that move from Barcelona to the United States as well coming up. So we're going to get you back on the show at some point in a couple of months' time, Matt, and just find out how your relocation went and work through.
Sounds good.
So, of how you've used your own technology.
Absolutely, absolutely. I will. Not only can we do that, but I will also share my feedback on the platform, and we can look at what I learned and what I had to the type of input that I had to improve the experience for other people. So on that theme, just to show a few more examples in the destination, digital destination experience, here is some expectation setting around resources to use for housing. And I wanted to use this as a launch pad to show another relatively new part of our platform called Community. And what I see in the community section of Find Services is a list of a lot of different resources for me to help me in my move across different categories. So housing being a big one, but also insurance, lifestyle, local services, money, and so forth. And what I see here is Amazon-style reviews with pro cons on a specific resource or a specific company. So in this case, these are all reviews about Zillow. And if I use Zillow as well for my home search, then I can write a review right here. I rate it how I want to rate it, and I leave a tip for my colleagues. Same concept applied to all of these different categories, and with this type of functionality on the platform, Stark Industries is actually building up a very unique data set to help its lump sum populations with their decision making in their move, because they're providing resources that are reviewed by relevant people, and they're providing a better experience than people just taking to the internet themselves and trying to find something. I can also add net new providers in here. So let's say that I find a specific property management company in the Bay Area that I'd really like to recommend to other Stark Industries employees. I can add it to the system, review it as I want to review it, and make that available for my colleagues as well. We applied the same type of concept to shipping. So if I have my lump sum, I need to make, maybe I need to ship a few things. So I've never shipped anything before. I'm starting from scratch. So this entire module walks me through A to B, everything I need to know, from an introduction to shipping, how pricing works in the shipping industry, what are add-on services, how I can avoid scams and frauds, because that is a risk. And then on to, packing belongings and tips about donating belongings. And in each one of these, you see that there is data points and helpful information from colleagues like me who have done the same thing in the past. So I think that was a pretty good peek at at how the platform can support a lump sum move.
Okay, so Matt, that's absolutely fascinating. It's a tremendous platform, and congratulations for all the work that you and the team have done in developing that. What I'd like to do now is bring the rest of the team back onto the screen. So I'll bring on Nitsan and Michelle and Wes and indeed Julia. So the gang is all here. So Michelle, I mean, you've done the report, the domestic relocation report, and that's available for download. And you've seen the platform. I mean, you're not in corporate life, but in your corporate life, would something like that have been useful to you back in the day?
Absolutely, no doubt in my mind. I think there are, not only for your standard domestic relocation, but when you start thinking about those early career people who are just coming out of university and needing to move around the country, or interns. I've worked in some very large organizations where that was part of their talent, acquisition and talent growth plan, right? Targeting certain schools, certain universities, and bringing in recent college grads and relocating them. So yes, there's huge benefit.
Okay, so we're pretty much out of time. I just wanted to thank everybody for being on the show. Julia, in particular, it's 10, in fact, it's probably 11 o'clock at night for you now. So many thanks for staying up so late. And as Rob Zeit says there, great show as always. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you all. And indeed, a happy St. Patrick's Day. And I hope that I've educated you all a little bit by telling you that St. Patrick was himself an expat. So a little bit of another fun fact for you. We are back next week with the view from the top, when we're going to go bi-coastal with Yuki Watanabe on the west coast from the Gap and Andrew Walker on the east coast from EY. So thank you all very much. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and we'll see you all again next week. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.